Hey everyone, welcome back to another comic review / discussion. Today we are here to talk about one of my favorite franchises growing up. I mean, this was probably my favorite franchise as a kid, so that's why I'm really excited that we're talking about IDW's TMNT. This is a series that started, I think, in 2012, 2013, and they've been coming out with comics ever since. This is the IDW Collection Volume 1. This has like all of the first 12 issues plus the micro series that kind of are tie-ins but also one-offs. So there's some connective tissue there, but overall, you know, it's kind of like extras or bottle episodes, if you will. But with that being said, we're going to dive in to reviewing this edition specifically for the first part of the video, and then we're going to get into the discussion of the story contents. So I'm going to switch over the camera to the different angle so you can get a little bit better look at the edition. Alright, Addicts, so let's take a look at this edition. So as you can see, hardback, obviously, it's got a really nice picture of Raphael at the front here. On the side, we get this really cool TMNT peeking through, kind of like the looks like almost like the wrap of a katana handle. We got volume 1 to sitting right there. We got Raphael showcased in all his mean green glory, and you got a little bit about, you know, obviously showcasing that Kevin Eastman's back for this, as well as writer Tom Waltz. Just kind of like, you know, what this first volume entails and what all this includes, which is the first 12 issues and the first, I guess, 5 issues of the micro series, like I mentioned before. You also have this bookmark, built-in bookmark, which is really nice. Helps keep place. Now, the thing I probably most appreciate about this, besides the little bit of art they put in here, which is really great, like you got a little bit of past life Splinter. I can't remember. Oh yeah, just, you know, regular book stuff there. But this is probably like the main thing I really love. It shows you all of the issues, and it tells you basically, you know, who all storyboarded it, who did the layout, who did the art, who did the colors, who did the letters. And this is really cool because if you like certain art done in certain issues, then you can go and, you know, just look up that artist and follow them, or, you know, you can kind of, I guess, pinpoint whose taste you like. For me, I really did like the guy that does the normal issues. Obviously, Kevin Eastman doing some of the classic looking art for kind of like the in-between issue pages. Those are really cool. A lot of the micro series one doesn't have that great of art, in my opinion, but they do make some really cool covers. Some of the guys that they get for the micro series, I really dig the art. So, like, for instance, this also tells you what page they're on too. So if you go to Raphael, he's like the first micro series, page 134. Wow, I just flipped right to Michelangelo. So again, like, you know, you have this really cool art that's always showcased, and again, they tell you who's the artist of this. So you got David Pearson there. And you can see the art changes up drastically from, let me get, well, actually, the Michelangelo one is right after the Raphael one. So again, stuff like this, that's really cool art. I really dig that. Honestly, the art for Raphael's is pretty all right. I just, I don't know. It's like that new age, that I call like a new age kind of comic look to it, but I don't know, it's fine. It's just kind of jarring, I guess, after seeing the first style. But if I go to, like, this is what the typical art is. And I don't know. I just, maybe it's just because it was the first thing I saw, but I dig this kind of art style probably the most. But, you know, there's a lot of great art, and I don't know if I can bring up, hang on, let me pull it off so I'm not spoiling anything for you. But I think there is a picture. So, okay, not the most exciting one I could have pulled up, but again, you have these kind of in-between pictures of art done by Kevin Eastman there, which is really cool. So yeah, that's basically the issue. or not the issue, the edition. Personally, to me, I think this is the best way to collect this. If you're already a fan of this series, but you don't own them physically, I would say pick up this because it's already got the micro series involved in it. It comes with this really cool hardcover. Again, it showcased more of a bigger art piece on the back, and then it has a more close-up one on the front. And they change between, different turtles, different characters. I think the second one has Splinter on it, which looks really cool. And I think for the price, you just can't beat it. On Amazon, they were going on sale for like around $30. And for a hardback with, what is that? There's 5 micro series issues, so that's 17 issues. That's pretty good. I don't normally consider buying volumes over compendiums if I can help it. A lot of people like collecting, the individual issue copies, which I'm also not against, but I think just from a price perspective and, a consumer on a budget, it's just not worth your money to get individual issues. So since they don't offer compendium issues for this, and also because this package is just so sleek and it's just got everything that you would probably want out of a volume, I would say this is definitely a recommended volume edition to get if you're going to start collecting this. Now, I don't have the paper copy of this, and I have not seen it. So they do offer this, though, in a paperback. So if you're more interested, or if you're worried about just this holding up, or maybe some of the corners busting on it, then you do have that option if you want to get it in a different type of, binding is really the only word I can really think of. But yeah, really cool, really great. There's another picture showing off Donatello. But with that being said, let's get into the story stuff, of the volume, because that's what all of you guys really care about, right? All right, Addicts, so now that we've taken a look at the edition and you've kind of gotten your first impressions on if this would be the one to pick up, let's talk about the thing that's really important, the story and what's in here. So I don't know if I mentioned it before, but the co-creator, Kevin Eastman's back, and he is a part of this comic. So there is a lot of the original DNA that is very present in this in this new series. And I say it's new. It's new to me, I guess. It's been around for a while, but you get what I'm saying. In this IDW run. And it leads to really cool remixes. I feel like a lot of things pulled from the other TMNT iterations that, whether it be for Easter egg purposes or just certain ways that characters might be set up, or the roles or positions, whatever. I think I really do like the way that they do that. It's almost like, we'll have to wait and see later on if they do this for everything, but so far it seems like they're taking the best pieces from the other iterations and kind of morphing it into the ultimate, or maybe not the ultimate, but, a more, fan favorite type. But we're going to start off with talking about the origin, because there is a couple of change ups in the origin. Now, I just should probably give this little warning here. I will be talking a little bit of spoilers. I'm going to try to keep everything broad or as wide scope as possible. So, we might talk about some things, but I'm not going to talk about details. So, hopefully you'll stick around, because I don't think any of the information I'm going to go over is really going to deter you from reading it or spoil anything major. But if you don't want to know anything, I understand, and you can go ahead and click off right now. But getting into things, one of the big change-ups that they do is having Raphael kind of split after he's mutated. So they introduced this new villain called Hob, who's kind of like this alley cat that gets part of the ooze on him in the midst of the turtles being exposed to it. And because of Hob, Raphael is separated, so he's kind of left wandering around New York City without any memory. And I really like the what this ended up leading to. There was some worry at the beginning that I was like, will this affect the relationship between all the turtles? Because I think one thing that has been pretty constant throughout is that no matter what, all of the turtles do rely. I mean, they're brothers. They rely on each other. And so I was a bit worried that this was going to create maybe a too distant relationship between Raph and the others, or, they're setting up something kind of rocky, but they don't go that approach, which I appreciate, but they also incorporate that into the Casey and Raphael dynamic, and I think it actually leads to a more stronger bond between those characters because they have a little bit more, reasoning behind one of the baseline connections that they've had in other iterations with there being hot-headedness, but also just some of the backstories are kind of more parallel, so they can kind of relate to each other a bit more, which I like the dynamic that I saw played between them in this first volume, and I'm actually really excited to see how much more Casey might be incorporated into the story, or at least with the Turtles from an issue-to-issue basis going forward because of this. Now, another big thing that's a big change up in the origin is the reasoning, or I guess it would be the reasoning, or I guess some people might label it as the excuse why the Turtles, or I guess at the very least, why Splinter, or how Splinter knows ninjutsu so that he can teach it to the Turtles. And this is done through reincarnation. Basically, well, I won't go into too much of it, but basically, they lived in feudal Japan, and they knew it in their past lives, and now that they've been reborn, those memories of fighting have resurfaced, and that's how they're able to learn and teach and so forth. And to me, it is fine. To be honest, I'm not really picky about the origin story. I like the one that I grew up with in the iteration that I love the most of the Turtles, but I am aware that the iteration that I love, being the 2003 show, that it's just as absurd, if not more absurd, than some of the other ones. So to me, in terms of it being quote-unquote more believable, I guess, if that's such a thing that you could say in this type of franchise, the reincarnation bit does seem more feasible, and I don't think it's out of the realm of what TMNT focuses as a scope. I mean, there's a bunch of different kind of science fiction, mythical aspects that are being incorporated, so reincarnation does not seem out of the ordinary or out of the realm of possibility being part of the unfamiliarity of the franchise as a whole. So to me, it doesn't bother me, although I am worried a tad of the direction they might go. I think as long as they operate it or handle it something to the effect of, like, Avatar: The Last Airbender or something like that, where their personalities are separate, even though they have that past life. There's just maybe some feelings they get every once in a while, or they can harness those memories to incorporate something in their current life. As long as there's not this, like, we get like the Turtles saying, like, oh, they're da-da-da-da, like their past life name, whatever. But that's something that we get very seldomly touched on in this first volume, so really, it's just left up to seeing where the story goes in the next volume or future volumes. But personally, didn't have a problem with it, but I know that some people, just here and there that I saw, some people honestly were overreacting about it. I was like, well, okay. So if that's something that doesn't sound great to you, then I don't know, maybe you shouldn't read this. But moving on, we also, this is just a small observation, but Casey and April are seemingly a bit younger in this story, which right now I don't have any cause for it to be bad or me not liking it at all, or even being worried about it. But I guess whenever I see de-aging of certain characters, I always wonder if there's going to be a bit of immaturity or just youthfulness played into the characters, because I just don't really see what the purpose behind de-aging certain characters would be unless there is some kind of ulterior motive or ulterior reason why. But it seems like there's really no reason like that. And it could just be that either the characters are drawn a way that makes me think they look younger than they actually are, or it could be that maybe my interpretation of the characters' ages and throughout the other iterations has been completely wrong. I always thought they were older, like in their like late 20s, perhaps, but I don't know. It's fine though. I think just judging by like, again, like the remix of like Casey's origin with his family, and then you know, they do have some elements that are sort of similar, not similar, but you know, that relate towards home on April's side as well, that lead them to have a more matured, for lack of a better term, aura about them that lets me just kind of not really even focus on their age as much, which I think is a plus as well. Now, the other thing that, again, I am not somebody that that really knows a lot of the original comic. I have wanted to read the Mirage comics of, you know, how it all started for a while, but there hasn't been any great edition or collection that I've found that's really worth, or I guess consumer friendly in the price scenario. So to me, I don't know much of the different remixes in this regard outside of the shows that I've seen from the different iterations, but I do like the mix-up that they do, that because it seems like more oftentimes than not, April is the first one that I guess is like the first human that the Turtles run into and become allies with, and I like that it's kind of the inverse with Casey and then bringing April back, because we already have the connection of April knowing the Turtles before they were mutated. So I like that she is the second one. It's not just too much April all at once. Not to say, you know, more April isn't a bad thing. I like her character, but I think it's just the way it is done. I think it flows really well, and it just has that nice diversion between each of the characters. Now, I guess one of the things I guess I'll touch on first is one of the new characters. Hob, like I mentioned, he's a mutated cat that has kind of a run-in with the Turtles, and he's kind of the introductory villain, I would say. And he was not, in my eyes, I didn't find him overly interesting, but he was all right. It was kind of like one of those things, I guess, that maybe it was because his motivation seemed a bit too simple for my taste, but I think it's, again, it's fine for an introductory one, and I think it has actually a pretty good, I guess, what would be the term? It leads you to having a impression of a villain that's above Hob, the person that is basically controlling Hob, or is his boss, essentially. It leads to the impression of that character not being as intimate or not as capable, because it's Hob's mistake and it's Hob failing time and time again in this first arc, I guess you could say, instead of the character above him. So that really leaves that other character, even though he essentially has not accomplished his goal yet, it still leads him to come back later and still have that kind of opposing, or maybe you know, bigger threat level to the Turtles than Hob, just because of that. At least that's how I can kind of associate it with. Now, the other thing too, speaking of villains, is Krang. We do see Krang a little bit in this first volume, and I really dig the kind of vibe they're giving Krang. Again, since I haven't read the Mirage comics, I've only seen Krang really incorporated in the 80s cartoon. And Krang is, I just like that they made him a bit more menacing in this. It just, I guess, fits more of, given his appearance. You know, he has such an imposing stature and presence, physically looking, that I really do like that they gave his personality a bit more of a boost to match that. So it really does remind me a bit more of the 2003 Shredder, at least in how he interacts with some of the other characters that we've seen the Shredder interact with in that other series with the same kind of character. So I don't know. I just like the way that kind of pairs in, and I'd like to see more of where that's going, because the way that they have the relationship, or I guess almost the what would be the good way to do it? Kind of pitting against even some frictions or some not alliances, but enemy type relationships between even the villains. I like that setup so far, so that's going to be really interesting if it's not just these villains kind of all together on the same side versus the Turtles, if they even don't like other villains, but they're still going after the Turtles. I think that's a bit more interesting instead of just them all being on the one side like it kind of has been in the past. Now, the other thing too, this is probably one of the only parts of the whole book that kind of stuck out to me as like, that doesn't make any sense. And that was, there was an instance where the Mousers are in this first volume as well. And there's a scene where the Turtles get one and they, or I should say Donatello, he re-engineers it to where it can be used as a distraction. And they use it in this guard room. They have the Mouser kind of tear up everything. And there's a point where the security guards are like, our guns won't hurt this thing. We gotta go call for backup or something like that. And I was just so dumbfounded because like probably 10 pages before, you saw the Turtles just, ripping them to shreds with, just their ninja weapons, or Splinter, I think, was doing it barehanded. So I don't know. It was just like one of those things. So like, steel won't do it, but bullets, or steel will do it, but bullets won't. Interesting. But that was really one of the only things that, as a comic book or fantasy type story that you kind of have to suspend belief. That was one of the only parts, if not the only part, that really caught my eye or caught my attention in that regard. But let's see here. Oh, another good thing to mention too is they do have a bit more of a mature theme in this, and they haven't gone super... I guess, they haven't put both feet into this realm yet, but they've kind of dabbled a little bit so far in this first volume. So there is heavier language. Again, they're not like censoring anything. There's still like, I guess you could call them lower tier cuss words, but there's I think they say damn it a couple times, maybe shit's in there, I don't remember, but nothing big. But I'm just glad that's because I feel like, especially with the Turtles being New Yorkers, that they would be cussing a bit. So I dig that there is incorporations of that, but even outside of a I guess scripted level censorship not being present, there also is, I guess, some uses of the Turtles actually using their weapons, not to kill, but to maim. There was a scene with Raph that he actually stabbed somebody in like the shoulder or arm with his sai, and I was like, oh, damn. All right, I'd love to see more of this. So definitely is in there. That was only maybe once or twice that they incorporated to that level of, I guess, a higher level of violence than just, the kind of like I slashed a guy in the back with my sword and it didn't do anything to him. He's just laying on the ground, kind of bruised up. So I like that they're going more into the approach of using the weapons in an actual way that, the weapons would inflict real wounds. So I hope to see more of that. I don't think we'll see a bunch of that, but I would love to be wrong. Now, another thing that we get to see in this volume that was highly unexpected, which I don't even know if I should say it, but I think I will say it anyway, so spoiler warning here, but we do get a look at Karai and Shredder, which is so cool. I don't know if Karai was, if she was a character made for certain shows or if she was in the Mirage comics maybe later on, but I dig having both of them here at the same time. I think it just gives, especially since, let me finish that first sentence, gives more hierarchy, sorry, I'm having trouble saying that word, to the Foot Clan, and just more imposing members that we know can have more of a story beat, especially since the Foot is seemingly its own entity and not paired up with any of the other big villains as of now. So I really do like that, and I also like that it's showcased within the Mauser arc. I think as a volume as a whole, and just one of the things I've loved seeing from the story so far is that it's very reminiscent of the 03 show, like I said, is my favorite, with just these arcs being, I don't want to say short, but just, they don't really skip a beat in setting up that next thing while they're still in the midst of an arc, but not doing it in a way where the arc that you're currently in still feels unsatisfying. I think it's just done really well in the way that they lay those beats, but then still can pull off the one that they're still in. I really am a fan of that. I think just as a story, just keeps it moving, keeps it upbeat. It constantly leaves you wanting to turn the page. Now, the other thing that I may have started to say, but I didn't get to fully say is, let me just say the look of Shredder, really cool. But I really like that the first, basically introduction of the Shredder is with Splinter and not necessarily the Turtles. The Turtles do come in later on, but that really first one-on-one between the heroes and the main villain, it's with Splinter, and I think that works really well given the reincarnation new origin remix. I think they probably, between Splinter and Shredder, is the one where I find it the most interesting. The Turtles is the one I find it the most rocky. I want to see where it goes, but with Splinter and Shredder, I dig it. I really do, especially after seeing the little bit that they have. Now, another big thing that is kind of new, I guess, is the relationships or the dynamic between the different Turtles is a bit different than I've seen before. So I think in times past, you've always seen where, Raph's definitely got some, not beefs, but he's definitely got some more tension between, maybe Leo or Mikey sometimes, or, you have certain pairs ups like with Michelangelo and Donatello. But this was really the first time I really saw them do something between Leo and Donnie, and it not being in I don't want to say a positive, but not a positive, but it was in a way where it's kind of conflicting, or they're butting heads a bit, which I thought was really interesting because Donatello's always been kind of like, at least to me, the more level-headed or the most level-headed turtle. So seeing him actually have more arguments and raise more questions is something that I didn't expect to see from him, but I think it makes sense given how much of a fact checker he is, having that rooted passion in science and technology, and I think it makes a lot of sense, again, given the reincarnation bit, with Leo being the most bought into that, and then Donatello being the least bought into that, having that conflict. It just feels not shoehorned in there. It just feels a little bit more organic, which I like, that because of certain changes the authors have made to the overall story, that they are considering what might be natural things that would pop up because of that new relation or that new change in certain aspects or dynamics. I really think it's a next level attention to detail for certain characters when, trying to reinvent or reamp a story that has been retold as many times as the Turtles have at this point. Now, again, I mentioned the love for Splinter facing off with the Foot. Really great. Giving off that origin story with Splinter was also great. I guess I probably did touch on it when I was talking about the edition, but again, with the micro series are ones that, to me personally, I like to have a story that has everything that is connected to that story in there, and I don't want to miss anything. So for me, being that type of person, I really think the micro series are important to have and to also read. But out of the ones that are collected in this volume, I really only liked 2 of them. The other 2, well, let me rephrase that. I liked 3 out of the 5, but there was a couple that, well, let me just go into a little bit more detail, right? So the Raphael one, really great. It set up not only the Foot, but Bebop and Rocksteady, a new character for the Foot that we see later on in the actual main issue. And I also just like, again, seeing that dynamic between Raph and Casey and kind of having that reflection on where Raph is at after he's connected with his brothers already for a bit of time. The Donatello one was disappointing. It was a one-off one that doesn't have any connective tissue, so there's that. We may see it later on, perhaps. I didn't hate it, but I thought it was just a tad bit disappointing because of, I don't know, it seemed like it portrayed Donatello a little bit, I don't want to say less capable, but I don't know. It just seemed like he wasn't as smart or advanced as he probably should have been, given that he is the techie one, you know. But Michelangelo, again, there wasn't really any core connection to the issues yet. Again, they do a good job of introducing characters that we might see later on. So a lot of these ones that don't connect in this volume, they still might connect later. But Michelangelo one, even though it didn't connect to anything that we saw in the main issues for this volume, I really liked it, and I thought it fit really well with Mikey's personality. Leonardo, again, has a really cool one that connects almost instantly and is kind of like a setup, a good setup to introducing the Foot. Although the one big gripe I do have about that is that we don't see as great of a threat from the Foot as I would like. A lot of the Foot soldiers got taken out a bit too easy in my in my mind. At least for a first encounter, I thought they should have been more tough. I think it was cool seeing Shredder in disguise go up against Leo, but as far as the regular Foot, I think I almost would have rather just not had Shredder there and just have the regular Foot soldiers kick Leo's ass or give him a bit of a tussle, more so than they did. But that's a talk that I can have later on. And then with Splinter, again, really dig that. There was really no part of that I didn't like. And I think because they want to focus a lot on reincarnation being a big thing moving forward, having these little moments of looking at their past life, I think, is a great way to kind of incorporate that or let you maybe ease into some of the wider range stuff that they might come up with later. Again, there was another cool use of a character at Stockgen that I thought led into the other aspect of that arc really well, which again won't talk about. There was a really cool Easter egg with April's shop with the second time around. What would you call it? Pawn shop or antique shop. I don't know. I like little stuff like that. It's really cool. They remixed it, obviously, so it's not technically their family shop. It was just something that they bought. But again, anything I see, especially from like the show that I love, I'm gonna eat it up. Now, I guess one of the other little minor complaints about certain characters is with Karai. I think there is a good amount of potential to change this. It was just off of first introductions. I thought she was a bit more spouty off. I can't think of any other way to mouthy, I guess maybe might have been the word. She was just a little bit too cocky, a little bit too mouthy at the beginning for my taste. But I think it kind of works, I guess, in one side because Shredder's realizing who Splinter is as Karai's busy running her mouth. But I would have really loved it if Shredder was just like, silence. enough talk from you, and then, you know, goes into talking to Splinter. But overall, nothing big there, just little something there that I was like, now, I guess I did say that with Splinter's micro series, again, did enjoy it. Not overly necessary, but I still think it's very good world building. So seeing what that might play into later on is great. But the one thing I guess I forgot to mention about the micro series, I know I'm putting this way out of order. Sorry for jumping you around. But the micro series are done by different artists, and the art for the micro series are so incredibly not bad. I just don't, I don't know. To me, I personally don't like them at all. It's nowhere near as good of art, I think, as the mainline issues artist is. There is, though, some still art that they're not issue arts, I think, but they're just like random art that they throw in for the collection. And some of those are very cool. But overall, the micro series, artists, I don't know. I could do without that. Just give me the regular artist that does the mainline issues, I would say. But yeah, I really no more than well. Okay, I guess one of the big things, I can skip over one point, but the one big thing I probably should highlight is that the showdown with the Shredder, the first fight with him, I thought seemed really weak. He should have been more formidable, way more formidable. But if I think it's as much as I hate to say this, it might be all right if Krang and some of the other villains can pick up the slack on being that more looming presence, or if there is something that happens to Shredder that leads him to, I don't know, becoming a bit more powerful later on, if they got some sort of workaround there or something in the pipeline. But again, the Foot, at least right now, seem a bit weak for being one of the most iconic villains of the series, if not the most iconic one. So with that being said, that's basically all I wanted to talk about, or some of the things that I wanted to highlight for this first volume and just the introduction of the series. I'm going to try not to make these as long going forward. I don't know, unless you guys just really enjoy them. But getting on to my rating, so we can wrap this up really fast, or as fast as we can. I got to give this an FFA. I really digged it. There are, again, minor things here and there, but I'm just glad to be digesting a new story for the Turtles that is actually good and does have some more of those darker themes and, you know, more serious tones running through there. Again, they still bust some light-hearted stuff that I think is in line with the Turtles. So the core DNA of the franchise and the series that I love, I think, is present here, and I'm just really interested to see where they'll take it going forward. There's, I think, 9 or 10, maybe even 13 of these big collection volumes. So there's a lot of issues out there, a lot of story to go forward. So we'll see if it keeps up with that. But so far, I've been really impressed. Especially keep in mind, this FFA is taking into consideration the edition itself. So the story, if I just had to rate the story itself, I'd probably give it a gotta have it, but because I'm able to read it in this edition and the way it's formatted, I mean, it comes with a bookmark, it has it all laid out like I showed you at the beginning, you know, telling you what issues are what the micro series are, who wrote them, who inked them. It does have some very good art. Yeah, overall, I would give the story and this collection an FFA. So I highly recommend you go check it out if you're interested. I would love to talk more about TMNT. Like I said, it's a franchise that's near and dear to me. But with that being said, guys, we're going to shut it down because this is a long video. So don't know how many of you guys stuck around, but if you did, I appreciate you. Do check out other stuff. Links will be all around and in the description if you want to follow us on social media. And I'll just see you guys for the next video. Anyway, guys, peace.